Pode abrir. Hello, good morning, and good afternoon for the people who are around the world. I'm Vanessa, Director of Institutional Relations of Unicamp Innovation Agency. We are responsible for the innovation policy of the University of Campinas. This is the first webinar we do in English, so we're very glad to have you with us. We have some people from all around the world that have enrolled to participate. Today, this webinar will be promoted not only by Innova, but also by our global partners, right? There are several universities around the world. We'll talk a bit about this later on. If you hear some screaming here, that's my kids. So I'm at home, as most of you. So please bear with me and the screaming during this webinar. I have to say the webinar will be recorded, right? And the video will later on be available on YouTube of Innova, so you can check on that in our LinkedIn or Facebook. We'll be disseminating that in the next days. We really would like to have some moment of interaction, but what we will do is by the end of the webinar, we will have a debate. What I want you to do is, if you want to talk to yourselves or talk to the panelists, you can do it over chat, right? Just send your messages. And remember, if you want to talk to all the attendees, send a message over the chat. If you want to send a question that will be addressed to the panelists later on, right? Please remember to do it over the questions and answers. Because otherwise the chat sometimes is really filled up and we don't see the questions there. So don't forget to do that, right? Those tools are in the bottom of the screen, okay? Today we'll have the following program. We'll have an opening with Professor Newton Frateski, who will be with us soon. Then in the morning, we'll have the cases of South Africa with Ayanda and Peru with Jorge, although he hasn't joined us yet. He'll be with us soon, I believe. And then Mariana from Campinas, from Unicamp, will talk about our case here of Unicamp. We'll have a large break during the day, and then we'll get back in the afternoon with the cases of Colombia and the United States to also big players and partners with us, right? Well, to start and talk to you and give you a view of what is this program, that is the Global Partners Program, I'd like to invite Professor Newton Frateski, the Executive Director of Unicamp Innovation Agency. Newton, be welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa. I will share my screen here before. Let me just give me a second. I hope my screen is being shared. Is it correct?
It's correct.
So shall we start? Well, first of all, thank you for all the members of our group, Global Partners. And my goal here is to basically talk a little bit about what the Global Partners Program is and how you can be part of it. Okay, so it's a very short presentation. I would like to thank all for the organization of this event, Vanessa, Mariana, Katia, thanks all the people from Innova that is actually putting this together.
Sean, the only point is that your screen is like, for me at least, I don't know for the others as well. They are just, it's just a part of it that we can see. So if
okay, let's try again. I can see. Let's see if now it's better. I will stop sharing and share again.
Okay.
Okay, let's try one more time.
I'll be with you to check if it works.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now it's not sharing, right?
Now it's not sharing.
Okay, just give me a second. I'll try to fix it. Okay. Let's see again. Let's try. Share screen.
And okay.
Okay, I think I know what the problem is.
Okay, while you try to fix it, let me talk to the attendees, guys, who entered right after I talked, right? This is a webinar produced by Innova in partnership with our global partners. It's working now. The webinar is being recorded and you can say hello over the chat. So hi, if you want to say hello, you can go there. But please send your questions to the questions and answers. The tool is right in the bottom of your screen, right? Okay, be welcome, Professor Newton.
Okay, thank you. So let's start over. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much, Vanessa, Mariana, Kat, and everyone from for putting this together. Thanks for our partners, from the global partners, for willing to be here. Thanks for all the audience, and I hope we have people from Brazil and the other countries that are part of this collaboration. One important thing that I think about this collaboration is we have lots of southern part of the world being part of this, which I think is very interesting. Anyways, my goal here is to basically show very quickly what we are and how you can be part of the, how can you be a partner and a part of the Global Partners Program. So what is the program? This program has been created by Innova Unicamp, and basically we try to strengthen the relationship with the players that are in charge of the international players that are in charge of the innovation entrepreneurship in their own regions. And this can be incubators, accelerators, or even innovation agencies like ourselves. And there's no cost for this. This is totally free, and I think it's a mutual benefit to be part of the program. Our goals, very simply, we like to strengthen the connections among global universities, fostering entrepreneurships and innovation efforts. We like to facilitate the access of other universities' ecosystems to the Brazilian market. And this can have like, the same way we're doing this, the universities are doing this for their side. So I think there's a very mutual benefit for both systems to be part of the system. And finally, we always try to offer training and benchmarking opportunities to the institutions and to the professionals from the institutions that are partnered with us for this program. Here, these are the universities that are part of our global partners. We have here, I'd like to, again, to strengthen the fact that there's a lot of South-South interaction. In a way, you can also say that Florida is in the south of the United States, so it's a lot of South here. So we believe this is a great way for our universities and our innovation agencies or the actors in innovation entrepreneurship to be together, to get to know each other, and to try to improve lending opportunities for the startups, for training, and for corporations in all aspects of innovation within the university mainframe. Okay, how you can become a partner? It's very simple. Here's, please make a note of the link. It's very simple. It's always Innova Unicamp BR/global-partners. So it's very easy, and you go there. And so you put your name, email, everything, and then you say why you want to participate. You can write in Spanish, in Portuguese, in English, I mean, several languages, as long as they know which language you're writing. Anyways, thank you very much. This is very simple, so this is the very quick message that I want to give to you. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor Newton. Well, let's start. I'd like to invite to start with us Ayanda, right? Ayanda, that is Director of Innovation, Technology and Transfer, Technology Transfer and Commercialization of the University of South Africa. Ayanda is a long-term partner with us, has been to Brazil and has brought his students already to Brazil. So last year they participated as well. Ayanda, are you with us?
He probably has to know.
He was.
Yes,
yes. Okay. Great. Okay, I'll stop share and please be welcome to talk about your initiatives.
Thank you very much. Just to confirm that you can see my screen, right? Just want to confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, it's working.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vanessa. And thank you very much even to Prof. Newton for the invitation. We truly appreciate and welcome an opportunity to have conversations, about some of the things that we're doing around developing entrepreneurship within the university, but also, to learn from everybody else, in terms of what they are doing, so that, we can improve on some of the things that we're doing. And of course, we look forward, to the global partnership growing. As so far, this has been a huge benefit to us, and would want to grow in different directions, in different areas. But anyway, my topic today, I'm just going to focus on entrepreneurial development initiatives at Unisa. As I've been introduced, I'm the Director for Innovation, Technology Transfer and Commercialization at Unisa. It's a growing tech transfer office. I'm going to say a bit about it during the presentation. But the outline of my presentation today, I'll just talk briefly, the time that we've been given is 20 minutes. It's fine, I'll try and stick to 20 minutes. I'll talk briefly about the South African context, delve a bit on the UNISA context, not so much, but sort of the bigger context of UNISA, and then talk about some of the programs that we have at UNISA, but different programs. And of course, not Q&A in this case, would have a discussion much later on. As you probably suspected, UNISA South Africa is a developing country, and it's got problems that are quite common or similar to other developing countries. And one of the issues one of the challenges that we have is around unemployment. Right? In our case, as of 2019, the end of 2019, according to statistics from StatsSA, another organization, we're sitting at about 29.1%, right, unemployment rate. And of course, given the COVID-19 and the lockdown and the slowdown in the economy as a result of that, this figure is significantly shot up. We still have to hear the actual final figures, but they will be much higher. We've seen businesses closing down, which is actually quite sad as a result of this. But I mean, if you look at also the figures in context, looking at, within the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, context, right? South Africa faces a quite huge, greater challenge when it comes to unemployment. Brazil statistics, I'm sure you probably, they'll probably change by now, but will correct me. According to the latest report, sitting at about 11%. China is 3.6%, Russia 4.6%, India and 7.2%. And of course, those figures, I'm sure they would also be affected by COVID-19. But relatively, if you look at all our BRICS partners, vis-a-vis, we look at our BRICS partners and looking at ours, we face a much huge challenge when it comes to unemployment. And really, the people that feel the brunt of this unemployment is young people. The unemployment rate amongst young people is estimated to be in the region of between 60 and 70%, which is actually quite unsustainable going forward. We also have
Ayanda, sorry to stop. Yes. Did you say 16 or 60?
60.
Oh, 60% unemployment rate. That's a lot. When you say young people, you mean up to 21, more or less?
No, from around about 2021 up until the bracket from 31, 35.
Oh gosh, okay, I understand.
But the people that really feel the bulk of it are in the region, in the early 20s.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, I mean, part of the reason is structural. Before you get into the job market, you need experience. They may not necessarily have the experience because the job opportunities that are available are quite limited, and I think that's a challenge. Yeah. And you may have, I mean, but we'll talk about some of this. You'd have quite a large contingent of unemployed graduates in the system, right?
Okay.
Which I always say is a huge opportunity, but I think we've not really made use of that opportunity, for the benefit entirely of the ecosystem as a whole. Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. The other challenge that we have, which is around the sluggish economic growth, right? And the latest figures that were released last week show a contraction of about 27% of the economy. Well, part of it due to the COVID-19, the lockdown, but already, I mean, from 2019 already, for 3 successive quarters, we've seen a contraction in the economy. We're really edging towards a recession, right? And part of the problem is also the reliance or over-reliance on big multinationals, and there's been no sort of growth in terms of, SMEs, pushing entrepreneurship, aggressively. There've been quite a number of initiatives I will speak to, But if you look at, some of the statistics coming from the OECD, that says that amongst the OECD countries, 99% of all businesses are SMEs, which is actually quite high. So SMEs account, small and medium enterprises account for 2/3 of all employment in the country, and of course they are the rest, which is the third, which is micro enterprises with less than 10 employees, right? That do that. There's quite a number of measures. Some of these have included, in the middle there, when we talk about the National Development Plan, we talk about the 10-year Innovation Plan, we talk about entrepreneurship development initiatives and other policies to actually try and fast track this. But I think I'll target, sort of mention the ones that are very sort of unique, maybe to entrepreneurship and small business, entrepreneurship development and small businesses. A few years back, there was a creation of a specific ministry, a dedicated ministry of small business development, which was then created to actually fast track the development of entrepreneurship, small businesses, and of course the jury's still out, on the success of that, but it's still early days. But there's also been a creation of a number of funding instruments, the biggest of which is the Small Business Innovation Fund, right, which would then help sort of facilitate this move towards the creation of new enterprises. Right. There's been also attempts to align the funding instruments, because you've got funding instruments, at national level, the national government, but you also have funding instrument at provincial level. There's quite a number of these small enterprise finance schemes, right? Now there's been an attempt to sort of create more alignment, more in terms of, having a single entry application, process. You apply, you submit one application, and that application can then be sent to all the possible funders. And then, of course, the ones that would be much more attracted by your proposition would then contact you and fund you. But there's also been, an attempt to create a much more, favorable mix, between encumbered, sort of final funding and the unencumbered, between debt and grant funding. Of course, to make sure that you've got at least enough grant funding to actually stimulate, sort of the innovation, the creation of new enterprises, people pursuing their ideas, innovative ideas. Right? And there's also been, support, right, for incubators, and accelerators. There's quite a lot of them, that are funded by, by government. There's quite a number of them that are privately owned. However, despite all of these challenges, they still remain, right? In the sense that if you look at the global innovation competitiveness index, of 2019, right, we've sort of regressed in terms of the ease of starting a business. We're sitting at 129 out of 141 countries. So these are the issues that, perhaps going forward, we need to address, right? But of course, it's not all doom and gloom. There may be some good news and some good opportunities, that in other studies are showing, for instance, that, the number of individuals who consider entrepreneurship as a good choice have actually increased, from 69.4% to around 78.8%. There's also an increase in perception. People say, they see the country as providing good opportunities, for starting, sort of company businesses and enterprise. And of course, that figure has grown from 43.2% to 60.4%. But of course, that has not translated. Perhaps it will take time. There's a bit of lag, where that really translates into sort of intensification of entrepreneurship, activity, in the entire system. Because if you look at the total early stage entrepreneurial activity, it still remains flat at about 10.8%. So it has not changed. I'm sure there's probably a 2 to 3 year, sort of lag, where we'll begin to see some of these things, right? But of course, something that for me, I think, is also quite encouraging, is the rise in the number of female entrepreneurs. If you look at the global entrepreneurship monitor report for South Africa, it clearly shows that, over the past 2 years, there's been an increase in female entrepreneurs, entering the system. That for me I think is quite positive. But there are also quite a number of factors that have been highlighted, to say these are factors that we need to address to be able to be successful, to show some measure of success in our attempts to bolster, entrepreneurship, generally in the country, not necessarily in higher education, right? The first, government policies and initiatives. Yes, you can see, some of the policies that I've mentioned, on the slide, they are there, right? We've got initiatives that have been created, as I've mentioned some of them, right? And of course, one of the challenges has always been access to markets, right? And the issue that needs to be addressed is around openness, market openness, right? There's been talk, for instance, of having preferential procurement schemes, but they remain a talk, but at least we need to move to a stage where, if we know, for instance, we know our statistics, that, the people that bear the brunt of unemployment is young people. Why don't we create, some schemes or some mechanism of preparing young people so that there's a way, sort of getting them to become full participants in the economy. Those are discussions that are taking place, but also the availability of and access to finance, right? That's always a challenge. It's driven by quite a number of things. You may find that finance is available, but of course, information doesn't filter through. Of course, it needs to do with awareness, level of information, and ease of starting a business, and a lack of information generally, which is a problem. But I think it brings us now to the next level, which is around the next point, which is entrepreneurial education, which is actually quite crucial, right? That everybody now is beginning to pay particular attention to,
Ayanda, let me ask you something before you start talking about the entrepreneurial education. We are in the same slide. Are you going to change the slide right now? Because I don't know if we're changing it and not going, right? Just to check on that. Okay.
Yeah. No, this was all about this slide.
Okay, all right. I was just worried because you said entrepreneurial education. I didn't see the next slide, so bear with me, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. No, don't worry. I'll be quick on this one. Now, I mean, another challenge that we really want to speak to is around inequality, right? I don't know. Maybe colleagues are aware. South Africa has got the highest Gini coefficient. This is a measure of inequality in the whole world. We are the most unequal society, in the entire world. And of course, some of the sort of maybe policy measures, some of the things that are happening are actually fueling that. One of which is really education, because education can be the key towards closing that gap. In our case, we've got a dual system. Not necessarily, by design per se, but it is just emerged. It's a legacy that we've not been able to overcome. So we've got really two education systems. One is for the wealthy, right, and it's well resourced, right. It's good quality education, right. It's created its own networks, feeder networks, so that if you go through that system, right, you've got people along the chain that will be able to hold you, and walk you through. So in a sense, it guarantees success, to in a sense. And there's another one which is really for poor, right? The majority, right? Poor quality, under-resourced, and it does not adequately prepare, the learners for post-secondary school education. And of course, all of this really reinforces the social and income inequality in the country. It results in the poverty. I didn't want to even touch on the issue of poverty. It's quite a serious one. But of course, it's not all bad. But what this has done, all of these challenges have actually made it possible for the creation of different types of partnerships and linkages, right? Government, higher education, and because everybody sees the need, to come together and work together, and including the higher education institutions, right? The higher education institutions are seen as really, the ones that also have to play a major role. As we see some of the initiative, for instance, in terms of setting up incubators, the preference is to do it, within higher education institutions. And the idea is that, besides the tech transfer component that is part of the higher education institutions, but it's seen as where knowledge resides. And of course, that knowledge is going to be of consequence, at least to the entrepreneurs going, sort of development. So that brings me to my next slide, which is the Unisa context. It's just one slide, just to say a bit about Unisa before I get to some of the programs that we do. We're just one of 26 higher education institutions in South Africa, or what is referred to as a comprehensive university, in that we provide, sort of practical, theoretical as well as practical, sort of qualifications, right? We sort of mix. We're also the largest open and distance education learning institution in Africa. We've got Unisa is about 400,000 students, right? And by my conservative estimates, because I didn't want to change the figure, but my conservative estimates is that, 33%, but it's more than that, 33% of all students registered in higher education in South Africa are registered with Unisa. And of course, our students differ. You've got students that just come out of secondary school, they come to Unisa because they couldn't find any place elsewhere. The demand for higher education is quite high in the the country. So what Unisa has done, because it's a distance education, it has really expanded access. Where just to give an indication, right? In 1994, you had almost 250,000, students in higher education. Fast forward now, you're sitting at around about 1.2 million students in higher education, right? And with those 1.2 million students in higher education, some studies have actually estimated that you have another million students that qualify for higher education, but do not have space in higher education institutions, right? And there's another category of post-secondary school institutions, which are called FET, Further Education and Training Colleges, which are really vocational training, colleges. They also have now close to about 800,000 students. And for those places, they're full capacity. And for those 800,000 students, you also have another, 900 to 1 million students that would qualify to be in FET institution, but do not have space. So there's a huge demand for higher education. At the same time, you balance that with what I mentioned earlier, that you've got a huge demand for higher education. At the same time, you've got quite a huge cohort of unemployed graduates. Well, maybe an opportunity right there that we still have to ensure that we derive some benefit out of. Unisa is very strong, in terms of research and innovation performance. Right, we sort of in the top 10 when it comes to publications and master's students. We are the top in terms of doctoral production. So it's a well-recognized institution. The very impressive alumni. Right, our first, democratically elected President Nelson Mandela. There's a qualification from here. You've got all sort of other notable alumni, judges and business people that have actually obtained qualification. Very illustrious alumni group. Now, when it comes to entrepreneurial activities, within the institution, perhaps I'll group them into those two categories, well-known categories. There's curricular activities, there's extracurricular activities. When it comes to extracurricular activities, there's quite a number of initiatives. There's this Center for Business Management that offers quite a number of qualifications. They're available to everyone. Anybody can register for those courses. So they've been doing this for quite a number of years. And you've got within the College of Economics and Management Sciences, the different colleges that I didn't mention. I forgot, I deleted that part, but I remember I forgot to include that. Well, colleges, we've got about 8 colleges: Economics and Management Sciences, Law, Education, Science, Engineering and Technology, Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Accounting Sciences, and of course, you've got the SPL being counted as a separate college, right? And Human Sciences, of course. So the entrepreneurship course resides within the College of Economics and Management Sciences. You can do it as a course, focus on, specialize on entrepreneurship, focus on entrepreneurship. But also there's entrepreneurship elective as part of the Masters in Business Leadership within the Graduate School of Business. But there's also another program that is funded by the US, which is called Young Africa Leadership Initiative. They offer quite a number of entrepreneurship programs, but they're not really focused only on South Africa, but in the entire region as a whole. But of course, you've got students from the country participating in those. Now, if you look at the extracurricular side, we'll discuss all of those in the next slide. You've got quite a number of programs. Most of these programs are run by the Tech Transfer Office. For instance, we've got Tshwane Inter-University Innovation Challenge, which is a competition, it's a partnership with quite a number of institutions. We've got within the 20-kilometer radius of Pretoria, that's where Unisa is located, main campus is, right? But don't tell anybody that I said main campus, but where the headquarters are, the main campus. Within 20-kilometer radius, you've got 3 other universities. You've got University of Pretoria, you've got Tshwane University of Pretoria, Tshwane University of Technology, you've got Sefako, Makato Medical University. So the four universities together with Unisa came together, together with the city of Tshwane. City of Tshwane, the metro, they have a research and innovation department where they interface with higher education institutions. So that's when the idea was born of a Tshwane Inter-University Innovation Challenge, for students. And the idea is that, these students would come up with solutions to challenges that are posed by the city of Tshwane. They range from transport, waste management, and it's not just, about, running the competition. Right? Students that go to the next level, of the competition, then they're required to start their companies. They get the necessary assistance and mentorship, and if the ideas, amongst the winning ones, then the city of Tshwane would actually pilot those, right? And of course, there's an opportunity right there of having, youth-owned enterprises, providing services to the city of Tshwane. And of course, the other partners in here, which is what we call the innovation hub, which is the facility of the provincial government, and we also have the Technology Innovations Agency, which is the premier, innovation funding agency in the country as part of this. We also have EDHE. EDHE is right at the top, but I'll talk briefly about it, which is the Entrepreneurial Development in Higher Education, which is a national program, right? This is a national program, to support entrepreneurship among students in higher education. It's a program of our Department of Higher Education, and Training, but also is supported by an organization called Universities South Africa, which is an association of all, university principals, in the country. Right.
Ayanda, you're out of time, but as Professor Horse didn't join us, how much time do you think we'll need to wrap up?
Let me take 5 minutes. I'll be done. I'll rest quickly, right? Thank you. So we also have our own Unisa Innovation Challenge, which is really much focused on innovative solution. We really want them to come up with innovative solutions, and of course we help them. Those that proceed to the next round, they become part of the pre-incubation program. We also have an innovation sense, which is really a business model canvas training. Right, that is the basis for it. It's business model canvas training. We want to give them the tools. It's open to all staff members. It's open to all students of the university. Anybody can register for this. The last round, that we're starting a course next week. We had about 860 people registering for this. So we had to go back to the drawing board and add another session, so that at least it's spread out, because now we're doing it online. And of course, there's the EDHE, which I mentioned earlier, which is really the national competition around for entrepreneurship in higher education, right? We also run a pre-incubation program, right? We're converting the innovation science into a startup academy, right? Where, we will add quite a number of components, and we're hoping that this fits into what our pre-incubation program, which already, we've got some companies that are pre-incubated there. And all of this feeds into a larger initiative, which is the incubator at Unisa, right? So I will skip these. These are some of the things that we do as the normal tech transfer office, that we are responsible for, to be able to. One of the things that we will do besides, when you commercialize, besides licensing to existing companies, but it's also, to facilitate the creation of spin-out companies, startup companies as well. When we run, the business model canvas training, one of the things that we do, if, say our requirement is, before you participate, you must at least have an idea. If you do not have an idea, then we make available our portfolio. And the idea is, maybe people, as part of the course, they may be interested in actually creating, something out of that. I'll skip this, in terms of the portfolio, and come to this. As you will see, this is our tech transfer architecture. You will see that there's quite a number of programs that are included here. We've got TSC Fund, as much as we've got the training and awareness, innovation sets. I've mentioned the business model canvas. We also have, as part of the innovation challenge, we've got the boot camps as well. They focus on business model canvas. We've got the Tshwane Inter-University Innovation Challenge, InterVarsity Challenge. two elements to the boot camps. Is one is the blue oceans thinking, and the other one is, of course, linked to the business model canvas. We're running pre-incubation. We're running a technology innovation support center, where in terms of this, we're able to assist people coming outside of the university. They have got an idea, they don't know where to proceed. Sometimes we link them up with the right people. Sometimes we provide advice. Sometimes we walk. We hold their hands, and walk them through a process. A recent case, a very successful one, where we worked with this guy for the past year and a half. Is at the stage now where we linked up with other people. He's actually going for. He's just been awarded a contract, to install his technology somewhere, which is a great thing. We run pre-incubation, right? So this is how we sort of in our own space, in our own tech transfer, we sort of infused all this thinking around entrepreneurship and innovation. So I've mentioned this part briefly, but this is the process for our sort of innovation challenge. It's got those various components, but one of the critical things around after pre-selection is the bootcamp, right? Where we take them through training before they make their final submission. And of course, if you look at what they receive, at the end, what you call accelerate. Besides funding, they get incubation support, they get mentorship, but they also get international exchange. There's some of the students that visited Unicamp last year, right? But we're changing this slightly. We definitely want to participate, in the exhibition, going forward. But we've changed this slightly in the international exchange so that it becomes more individual, right? So that somebody says, I'm interested in entering a particular market, then we'll arrange the person to go and spend time with an incubation facility there, gets more support, but also to learn. Well, I've mentioned this one, which is the Tshwane Inter-University. The idea here is really to build, to create new companies that are going to provide services, to the city of Tshwane. There are two boot camps. One is focused on business model canvas. The other one is focused on the blue oceans. We have this one after the other. And of course, there's quite a number of partners that I've mentioned here, including the French embassy that is part of this. These are some of the students. I'm not sure you remember this, the top left, picture when they met with Mr. Toy. They were quite impressed, and I'm sure they've kept contact, some of them. Right, these are some of our students. This is what you're also building around to create a startup academy, right? We already have the pre-incubation running. We provide training, mentorship, networking, program management, but also, building on this so that we in the end, we want to see, what it can be a startup academy, for Unisa, that we can provide this kind of services. And of course, you can see the grayed out, part, which is the prototype development, which is something that we still have to work on to create. You'll see at the end, we do not have that at the moment, but we've got to work creatively to actually create one for the university. And of course, there's a bigger initiative around the incubator at Unisa, which we are also supporting, which we are part of. And you can see some of our programs, they feature there as part of, the feeders into this. And of course, we need to include, to slot in the pre-incubation there. We think that the pre-incubation from our side would actually be our contribution to the educate slot. And I'm sure some of them would remember this educate accelerated signature, something that we, as an institution, we adopted, but we got that from somewhere else. But of course, our incubator is going to be quite unique. Dealing with 400,000 students, majority of them are in South Africa. Every town, every major town in South Africa, Unisa has got a campus. So in essence, Unisa has got about 23 sites in South Africa, right? So it's going to be able to provide the services. Though you might have a central hub, with physical space, within, let's say close by in Pretoria or in Gauteng. Gauteng is a province, but also we're looking at, creating, presence in all the regions. And of course, for us to be able to provide that service, we're looking to partner with the provincial structures, other higher education institutions, or other local incubators, or even the national government. Of course, there's been quite a huge appetite, to partner with this, because they see, other incubators see it as an opportunity as well for them to be able to raise more students. But we also, some of the things that we're working on now, this is the last slide.
Yeah, it's the last one. Okay, otherwise we won't have time to talk. But it's okay. Finish it.
Last one. Yes, there's also joint development. We're developing an entrepreneurship course with the 3 universities out of the 4. We come together and say, how do we then create a course that all the students can take? We share the cost of that course. Students can register for that course. We get, get the same content and see, what's going to happen. So we're busy with that. We're also busy, but this one is being led by the University of Pretoria, but we're also part of it. We've got a very vested interest in it. We have a virtual prototype center, that will then provide the prototyping services, for our students. But this is, in a nutshell, there's so much to share. My apologies for taking the time, but it's really, you can blame the passion for it. So,
well, I took some notes. There are some interesting things that we're going to talk later on. So stay with us later on. You'll join us again in the discussion. Thank you, Ayanda. Well, we will now go to the next speaker, right? I'd like to invite Mariana, that he is the manager of our science park and also the manager of our incubator, also involved in all of our initiatives at Unicamp to foster entrepreneurship. Mariana, be welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm going to share my presentation here and talk a little bit with you about our initiatives related to entrepreneurship here at Unicamp. Let's see here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I didn't bring slides about Unicamp, but we are not as large as University of South Africa. I was impressed about their numbers. We have around 35,000 students. It's more or less half post-graduate students and more or less undergraduate students. So we have a lot related to research at university. And Innova Unicamp, and that's where I work, is what we call the gate, let's say, between market, the outside market of a university, and our professors and students. So every other institution or other university or companies that want to do something with university related to entrepreneurship, related to innovation, we are the right place to come. It's like a one-stop office to talk about this with the market. Okay, so we were created in 2003. Okay, before the innovation law, and our mission is to identify and promote opportunities to stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship activities, expanding the impact of teaching, research, and extension in favor of sustainable socioeconomic development. Okay, and we have 4 main areas that we work on. So we have an intellectual property team which take care of all the technologies and research and inventions that are being done at university, related or not to other institutions. And their job is to check, to analyze these inventions that are being doing, and to see if they can become a patent or not. Okay, so we have a team that works straight on these activities. Okay, we have today a portfolio of more than 1,000 patents. What is a huge challenge for us, because if it's still a patent, it's just an invention, and what we want is to change this to an innovation. So what we have to become this an innovation is our partnership and contracts area. Okay, so the job of this area, of this team, is to contact the market, to offer all these technologies that we have, and also to receive demands from the market, because some companies, they don't want to license some of the technologies that we already have developed. They want to do something from the beginning with university and in terms of research. And so we also attend these companies, and what we do is a research contract with these companies. And at the end, if there's some innovation or technology that results from this research, then we do the license contract, and this company can commercialize and develop this technology. Okay, so we have both teams working together in this sense. Okay, we have also our institutional relation and communication area, which is directed by Vanessa. And we have also so we have a huge job at media and to communicate everything that we do, which is a lot of work. And then we have the area where I work, okay, which is the Science and Technology Park, the incubator, and the Entrepreneurship Activities. So today I'm going to talk more about what we do in terms of entrepreneurship activities. Okay, so this is the main activities that we have related to Innova Unicamp job. Okay, then I'm going to talk a little bit about some other initiatives related to Unicamp as a whole. Okay, so as you can see here, what we have is like an evolution, let's say, from what we have from the beginning with the students in terms of entrepreneurship, how to develop skills and abilities, and how to make them sensitive to this issue. Okay, and then we work on some other levels with students and people from outside university as well. So talking about our entrepreneurship class, so that's the huge name that it has, Intellectual Property, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. Okay, it began in 2008. It's an initiative from Innova Unicamp. So we organize this class. Okay, we don't conduct it, but we organize this class. So since 2008. And at the beginning, it was much more related to talk about intellectual property and what is innovation, but with some initiatives being taken inside and outside the university, we also brought the entrepreneurship issue to this class as well. Okay, so its main goal is to sensitive undergrad and grad students about entrepreneurship as a career option, but also as an entrepreneurship spirit that the student can work on this at some company that he's working on. Okay, so what we do is to invite some speakers. Many of them are from our companies that are related to Unicamp, what we call the daughters of Unicamp. Okay, I don't know how to translate it.
Alumni companies.
Alumni companies.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And so what we do is to invite these speakers to talk about concepts of entrepreneurship, how to develop a business model, how to raise money for the startup, how to make a very nice team, and how to make this company grow. So we have around 16 classes each semester. And the idea is inviting these speakers to talk about some issues and about some of their experience as being an entrepreneur. So it's a very practical class. Okay, we don't have a theoretical content, so it's much more for students to understand how they can be an entrepreneur and what they need to do or to think about it. Okay, and this last semester we started working with them in teams, and at the end of the class they have to deliver to us a business model canvas, and it was a very, very nice experience. We had 11 teams formed by the students, and they worked very, very well. Some of them with some ideas that are not a concrete idea, but they did the exercise very well. But some of them with concrete ideas that they are going to carry on after the class. So it was a very nice experience to have. Okay, and since the creation of this class, we had more than 1,200 students related to this class, and more than 50 speakers. Okay, so for us, it's been a very nice experience, and we can say it's one of the largest initiative in terms of entrepreneurship class at university. Okay, some of the faculties they also have entrepreneurship issues related to their classes. So like we know that a professor at the Biology Institute, he ran a class where he asked their students to, at the end, do a business model canvas related to patents from Unicamp. We know that professors at the chemical engineering, they work on a methodology that Eric Sander told us some years ago, and they are applying this at some of their classes as well. So at the end, students have also to present a business model canvas about their projects, and they invite some people from Innova and from market to do like an evaluation of these projects. Also, we have the administration faculties doing some of this discipline, of these classes. So there are others that are related to some specific faculties and institutes. Okay. And what we also have is the Unicamp Challenge that was created in 2011. So we had this year our 10th edition of the challenge, what we call Desafio Unicamp in Portuguese. Desafio is challenge. And it's a very unique and innovative initiative because it's a competition based on Unicamp patents, and teams that participate of this challenge, they have to build a business model canvas based on these patents. Okay, so it started with students from university, but nowadays it is a national competition. So we have people from all over the country, and people from universities and outside as well. So it is open to everybody that wants to participate. Okay, and its main objective here is to stimulate the creation of spin-offs companies based on patents and computer programs from university. But also we train lots of people in business modeling methodologies and also presents entrepreneurship as a career option. So sometimes results are not so so direct, but we know that the seed of entrepreneurship was there with these students, and someday somehow they will be thinking about this. Okay, and so since the beginning we also trained more than 2,700 people, created more than 300 business models based on our technologies. And we have also a work of working on this business model before, after the competition ends. We also take a look at this business model. If teams are not going to carry on about this, we work on this with market to try to license to work on these technologies. And since the beginning, there were created 7 spin-offs from the competition. Okay, so it's a work that takes time. But from the beginning, I'm working on this since the 2nd edition, and what we see is that more and more the inventors of technologies are being part of this challenge and are willing to create companies from their technologies. So that's something that we've seen from 3 years ago. This initiative being growing among these inventors. Okay, what is very very interesting for us, because we see that our work is giving results. Okay, and this is a case, a very nice case from a spin-off related to Unicamp challenge. So these 3 guys here, the two guys from the left, they were the students, part of the team that participated on the Unicamp challenge. And the other guy from the right with a red t-shirt, he was their mentor. So he's a guy from the market, a senior executive from the market, and he was the mentor of these 2 other guys during the challenge. And at the end of the challenge, they decided to create a company, to license the technology, and to incubate this company with us at our incubator. And now they graduated from the incubator and they are at the market developing their technology. Okay, the technology is based on extracts of vegetal inputs related to urucum, passion fruit, jabuticaba. So these are some of the vegetables that they use to develop this technology, which is very interesting for cosmetics and for food. There are lots of applications. So this is what we want to promote more and more. Students that want to create their companies from these technologies or not, but to be there at the market with success. A very important step at the entrepreneurship path is grant money. How to raise money to develop this technology, to put this in the market and to survive. Okay, so we have an initiative here at the state of São Paulo, which is conducted by Frateski, which is a state agency to promote research. Okay, and they have what's called PP. It's a grant for small companies to do research at their companies. okay? And it's been a very, very good money for companies that want to do research, and mainly for startups related to technologies from university. So this has been growing all over the years. And Frateski trained some innovation agencies to do some workshops with people from university and outside as well, with startups that want to understand how to apply for this grant and how to do good projects, because sometimes they have money, but what needs are good projects and projects that are related to innovation and to research. So we did this year 2 editions of this workshop. Okay, so we have now 50 people trained on this. And the aim is to how to apply for FAPESP, a good project, okay, driven to finance research and development on startups and small companies. So the main objective is to improve the quality of these projects, and as well to stimulate academics, people from postgrad, that see that from their research there is some business that they can create a company. And so this grant, this money, is a very important source to go on with this research and to turn on this on a business. Okay. And I am finishing, and we have also our pre-incubation and incubation program. Okay, so you can see there circled here what is related to our pre-incubation program. So what we have is, in 1 semester, we train these entrepreneurs that apply for our program to how to do a business model, how to validate this business model, so how to talk to markets to understand before developing technologies if market wants about if market wants their product, their solution. Okay, because lots of startups, they develop technology and then they go to market to talk to them and to offer the solution. But we know that the work has to be before that. So we do this training on business model, on validation, on customer development. And after these 6 months, they have to present their pitch. And if they validate this, solution, they can continue on our incubation program, which then goes for up to 3 years. And there they are going to develop that technology, sometimes in partnership with university and so on. We also developed, because we receive lots of emails and people wanting to understand how they can develop their technology, how they can create a company from that. And this was this came from different parts for us at Innova Unicamp. So we just created this form that is named spin-off communication. So people from university, being a student or a professor or an employee that wants to create a company based or not on technology from university, they have to fill in this form for us with some information about the project, about the team, about market, what they want, what kind of help they want. Do they need information about the incubation? Do they need information about PP FAPESP? And so filling up this form, we are going to receive this and talk to them to see how we can help these people. And so we have also here our spin-offs So not created only from Desafio Unicamp, but some from other initiatives. And we have till now 44 spin-offs related to technology protected from university and also from knowledge related to university, okay? And we also, we work, we've been working on this to improve year by year this number. So just two examples of our one of these spin-offs. So this one is named Hubox. They are a spin-off from a research group at university called BRAIN. They are a research group related to mechanical engineering, physics, and medical faculty. And they developed this, they have a patent related to map some of the facial movements, and they put this technology on hardware and software to control wheelchair, okay, in a very fast way. And they were part of our incubator, also part from our incubator at a very important hospital here in the state of São Paulo. And they are now also in the US. They were part of Johnson & Johnson incubation program in Texas, Houston. And so they are being very successful in Brazil and also outside, okay? And they were students from the electrical engineering course. And there is also this interesting case called Acrobiotech. And we have this professor at Biology Institute. He was also part at Innova Unicamp in their beginning. And he has this class where they ask students to create a business model canvas on patents related to biology. And in one of these classes, some students saw some potential on the business model that they developed, and they created this company called Acrobiotech. And they're doing very well as well. And for us, it's a very interesting case to tell you about how students can be stimulated and being sensitive about this this issue to create their own company. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariana. Thanks everyone for being with us. We're going to a panel of discussion now. We're going to the debate. So please, if you have any questions, send it to the questions and answers. I'd like to ask Ayanda and Professor Newton to rejoin us now so that we can talk a little bit. Are you there? Ayanda's already there. Mix on. Professor Newton, are you there? You can also say that Professor Eric Sander is with us. He is our partner from Florida, and he'll be speaking today in the afternoon. By the way, we'll restart by 3 a.m. to hear Professor Eric. Okay, I'll start with one question. Later on, we'll go to the questions and answers. Ayanda talked a little bit about the female entrepreneurship, right? So we have this. We have also a difficulty here in Brazil when we look at our alumni companies, for example, at Unicamp. Most of the alumni companies were founded by men and not by women. So that's a challenge for us right now. I'd like to hear from you. What do you think can be done, right, to increase the participation of women as entrepreneurs? Ayanda, you had some experience there in South Africa. Would you like to talk to us to start, and then maybe Mariana could join us later on?
Well, thank you very much, Vanessa, for the question. You know, I wish I had an answer for you. Right.
That's a hard answer.
I tell you what we've picked up though is that there seems to be this increase not only from information coming from one source, from different sources, there seems to be this increase in number of female entrepreneurs and female innovators in the system, right? On Friday, this coming Friday, fortunately, we actually have a discussion on exactly that. Because what we're trying to find out is between us and the university next door, which is Tshwane University of Technology. So we're having this joint seminar, and what we're trying to get to is what is it that we've got to do internally as universities to actually support, sort of the female innovators, female entrepreneurs within our own space. I'll probably be lying to you if I had an answer to that. I honestly don't. Unfortunately, maybe Mariana can help me out.
Can talk a little bit. I think we have a great challenge, even to keep the women in their jobs right now with coronavirus crisis. We all have our kids at home, and we know that we are in a very sexist ecosystem here in Brazil, and I believe it's not much different in South Africa, right? So we're at home with our kids, and most of our husbands or partners and so on, they are working already outside, and we're in home office dealing with that, right? And I believe entrepreneurship is also something to think of. Mari, would you like to talk a little bit about this, or what do you think could we be doing? Okay, coronavirus crisis is something particular, but we have to think long term, right, on that?
It was my mistake here, because we have some good examples of spin-offs and companies created by women, and I didn't put this on my presentation, so I will do this next time. But what we see, mainly related to our incubator, let's say, that we have much more men than women. I think it's also related to research at a university, that it's been growing, that we have now more women related to research. But as we are talking about tech-based companies, they are more related to men than women, because we have more men researchers than women. Yeah, and what I'm seeing here, and not related to university, but related to the ecosystem, are some initiatives of specific groups, like for acceleration of women companies. So things related to women, led by women. So they know the challenges, and they have some specific ways to help and to mentor these companies that are created by women. So this is something that we are seeing here in Campinas and in Brazil as well. And what I think it's also helping these women to think about it, and how to solve and how to work with everything together. Yeah.
Oh, Professor Marcelo Menossi, that is from our Biology Institute at Unicamp, is with us, and he's telling that he suggests the reading of the book, The Confidence Code, that offers some insights that certainly will be helpful for women. Authors Katie Kay and Claire Schiffman. Thank you. We'll look at that.
Thank you.
We're working a lot here at Unicamp on the experience, as if you see a woman as an entrepreneur and as a role model, right? So we try to bring those women to talk. We try to put them in the news and in the media, so that other students that are women, they are encouraged to follow that path as well. Well, I started talking about something that I would like to explore with you, is that there are certain things that we as university and as part of the management of the university, and also as academics, we can do. And there are the initiatives of students, right? So at Unicamp, we're very lucky to have groups of students working on entrepreneurial matters, right? And fostering entrepreneurship. I would like to check with you, what do you think, what is our role, right, as part of the management of the university, and sometimes as part of as academics of the university, and the role of students if they conflict, if they are positively, like they complete themselves. And if you could start talking about your experience, Ayanda, in South Africa, like do you have those such groups in Unisa as well? The groups of the students?
Yeah, thank you very much, Vanessa, for the question. We do have students that are working, that we've actually, we're trying to encourage them to actually come together and have some formation. The challenge with Unisa is there's no campus, there's no place where students congregate, right, and have some engagement. All students is basically, if you are an undergrad, it's possible that you can spend the whole year and not having spoken, physically to your lecturer because things are happening online. But we've seen more and more students now, particularly, the young ones spending more time on campus, right? So what we've done is that from actually the group that came from, I'm not sure, I think one of the guys that came from, that attended the sessions in Campinas, we've actually encouraged them to actually come together and form a structure, that will then from our side will support. So we spend more time, working with him, to create this structure, navigating and helping him to navigate the internal processes. And whilst we're providing support, for him, whatever kind of support that he needs, so that to get the message out there. The idea is to get a critical mass, of students coming together. But of course, it's always a challenge having 23 sites, that are spread out all over the country. Right? But at least we've got to start some. Then we can then, sort of progress. We've got the competition that we're running as an innovation challenge. And of course, we've got students that have pitched in our competitions in the various regions. And the intention is to bring all of those then students to come together to form a sort of an entrepreneurship club. Because at the end, these are the students we're going to need, for instance, to actually coordinate the offices once we have an incubation program, right? We would want them to actually play a much more active role. Because I think when the students talking to other students, about entrepreneurship matters, I think it will also help, in terms of us getting the message across. But from our side, one of the things that we try and drum at all costs, we have a consistent message, to students, that says that here's an opportunity. Here's something that we could look out to. Here's an opportunity for you to gain some skills, gain some new knowledge around some of these things, gain some critical skills that you can use. You may not get it right with the first idea, right? But the tools that we give you will ensure that, going forward, whenever something happens, at least you've got the tools. I always say this, I always tell the story that in my previous employment, my previous life, there was a national competition. It used to be called the National Innovation Competition. All these workshops that we had, very intense workshops, right? And the students that actually won that, I think it was the last year of the competition. I was also getting involved in it for the first time. The students that actually won that competition, right? If you look at them now today, all of them are self-employed. They gain so much skills such that when they know what to do. They, sometimes I get an email from them to say, can we have a meeting? I just want to pass this idea to you. Okay, it's good. Let's have this meeting. But for us is to really, constant messaging, a proper support, and guidance, and actually making sure that there are resources that are available to them to actually push the message through.
Great. Mariana, would you like to talk a little bit about what we do with those students and the groups of students? We have mostly 2 or 3 groups that are very active at Unicamp, huh? Maybe
yes.
You can talk about them,
Yeah.
and then Professor Newton could complete on that, because soon we'll have some news on the empresas juniores. I have no idea how to say that in English. How is it called in English, Newton? No? Junior companies. Yes. Okay, Mariana, we have other groups as well. Start with that, come on.
Yeah, well, we have the Entrepreneurship League that was created a few years ago, and it's interesting because the guys that were part of our challenge after the challenge, they created this group. And it is a group mainly of students. They have no relation with us or with a specific faculty or institute. It's a complete initiative from students. And at the beginning, it was more to talk about this and to exchange experience. But now they have training courses and they have lectures. And so it's a very well structured activity
Initiative,
at university. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And we have also the junior companies that I don't know the names, that it's a very old, let's say, initiative at a university in Brazil, all over Brazil, but much more related to students doing some services and consultancy services for companies. But more and more they are also worried and concerned about innovation and how to do some things different. And we are also in contact with them to do this in the right way, and how to take benefits from this. Yes.
Newton, can you already start talking about that? I know that there will be some changes on how we work with the junior companies, or would you like to wait a little bit more when all is set? I don't know if I'm just...
This idea is something that has happening in Brazil for quite some time. It has originated in France. This idea of students creating their own companies. And Brazil is very strong in this. It's probably one of the leading countries, the number of companies that are doing this. And what we see is that usually they establish companies from students in the different fields within the different schools in the university, usually for providing consultancy and some services in their particular areas, let's say computer science and electrical engineering, physics, and so on and so forth. Actually, one of our unicorns started as a junior company, like back there, from Fabrício Blois. It was one of the leaders of one of these junior companies. And recently, we started working with them, and there was no clear let's say, organization or legislation for how they acted with the university. So this is kind of complicated because in some cases, they may provide some developments for other big companies, like in an open innovation type of thing, and realize that was very not well organized in terms of doing the contracts and several things, and how they do it, how we handle the intellectual properties, how, to help the students doing that. So this is one thing. The other thing is, some of them they are located within the university, and we had no legal procedure on how we do this. So recently we decided to organize all this, and now it's very well established. So it's work. Usually it's going to be like a three-party thing. So it's like a company, we want to hire them, and Innova will take part of this process to establish the proper context and to make sure all the intellectual properties in the best practice happens, so to avoid problems in the future. This is basically, has been already, basically it's in the final approval stage, and it's going to be much more, it's more in terms of, for the companies for the junior companies, perhaps, to be a little bit more, what do you call it, with a little more security in their business. So that's what we have now, and it's very important that we do this. The second thing is that because of this legal frame that we have put these companies, probably calls from the university itself. Some of the needs of the university may be realized by these companies, which is also a demand from them. So this can help them growing up. the final thing that I have to comment is that before these companies, they are not established as like entrepreneur companies. It's more like a company very established in old-fashioned hierarchical type of styles. And we started working with them and they are changing that. So it's not like it's almost like an act that you're playing as if you were in a company. Now they really started working as a new company and they're learning that copying big corporations is not the best way for them to become big companies. So this is great because this is a way that you teach or you bring the entrepreneurial culture to the students. And as you know, and I think this is the normal experience, most of this entrepreneurial culture comes from outside the classroom. And so we have to provide this environment. And one of the environments is being and working together with these junior companies. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. I have two questions for Mariana. First one is that there are people, some people would like to do the FAPESP workshop. Do we have a next date? I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm seeing here the questions.
Okay.
Well, we planned this year 2 editions, which were held on February and now on August.
The last one was totally digital, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So possibly the next one is next year, right?
Yes, at the beginning of the year. What we try to do is, what we are planning is to maintain these 2 editions for next year. So we try to do this at the beginning of the year, like February or March, before the call of April of FAPESP, because FAPESP has 4 calls for PP during the year: January, April, July, and October. So we, if everything goes right, we plan something for the beginning of the year, like February or March, and then on the second semester, like August, September, something like this. Okay.
Thank you, Mariana. Another thing is Ninon Flores is asking about how can students from other universities be involved in spin-offs and startups. And I guess this is a larger question as well, right? Because in most of our programs, students from anywhere can participate, right?
Yeah.
Can you comment on that? Even in even at IME, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
Unicamp challenge, and then well, can you comment on that?
Yeah, yes, mainly our class, this entrepreneurship class, because of the pandemic, we turned this to online classes. So it will start next Tuesday, every week till the end of January. And everybody can watch this from our, with the link of Zoom tool. Of course, not as a formal student. If you are outside the university, you can be like a special student. But if you didn't do this, you can watch all classes or the classes that you want. So it's just to be tuned to our communications, okay? Our incubation program, it's open to everybody that wants to be part of it, people from university or not. Okay, so we have people, nowadays we have people from university with technology from university, but people that want to make their business with their own technology and they are outside Unicamp. There's no problem on this, okay? And I think that's it.
That's it. Okay, there's another question about open spaces or multidisciplinary spaces such as labs and so on. Thais is asking, we'll soon have the plasma lab here at Unicamp that has this proposition, right? And well, do you have something like that in Unisa, Ayanda, like an open space so that students can work and start new ideas? Something that like a open co-working or something like that, we can talk, Thais, we can talk on that with the afternoon panelists as well, right? I think it's a good question to talk to and see what happens in those open spaces. Do you have something like that, Ayanda, in Unisa?
No, not yet. We do not have anything of the sort at the moment. You know, this is something about probably 2 years back, 2018 or 2019. No, 2019 early, there was a delegation from Unisa that went and visited quite a number of I think we spent 2 weeks at Georgia Tech, Georgia Institute of Technology.
Ah, okay, Georgia Tech, yeah.
Looking at you know, the various models, their systems, you know, and the idea was we'll come back and we're going to create, you know, something similar, you know, all of those. And that is the last part that I was mentioning, that, you know, there's the Unisa incubator at Unisa, right? And the model going forward is we need to establish linkages with, because Unisa is huge, right?
Yeah.
We can't have a physical presence in every part of the country, though we do have campuses, you know, so Unisa campuses. But one of the ways of that we're trying to reach as many people as possible is by partnering with other organizations, right? That may be in the various regions, so that we can create a space. That's why the student formation has become very critical for us, you know, because we would want, you know, them to actually run, you know, the coordination at least, you know, of some of these programs that we have. This is something that we definitely working towards, you know, creating. Since we're not a residential university, and for us it becomes really a bit tricky, but very exciting at the same time, I think.
Okay, all right. Well, let's, would you like to comment on that, Mariana and Professor Newton? If not, I'm going to talk with our afternoon guests later on about this.
I'd like to just say a few words. I mean, this spaces, like for instance, Plasma is going to be a space made for students and to be held by students. It's like a maker's space. It's basically like for design thinking and for cultural activities or science activities, something that I think is important for the students to get together in a slightly different environment as classrooms or labs. Nevertheless, in terms of real entrepreneurship, real work with companies, I think our science technology park, that now is physically located on several places. We have co-working spaces. And then we see a lot of the startups or even the companies that are in our park hiring students. So the students can go there, and there are a lot of, we have already co-working spaces in which they'll be really doing work or doing their internship. So it's a more, let's say, it's more like a activities towards really already doing, really working as a professional. And because of recent changes in the policies in which several labs can become part of the park in a distributed type of park approach, a lot of the laboratories may also have this type of participation of students as they work for their thesis or they work for their research. They may be part of a collaboration with companies within the several labs in the university. So we may not need a structure for that, but the entire university should be open in this type of environment.
Very good. There's another question here. I can answer that. It's a question from Bazanda, right? It's also from South Africa. Bazanda is asking if the global partners will have a mentoring week or a virtual mentoring week. Yes, we will. Right, I sent this agenda some time ago. I'll send it again, but it will be in the last week of October. And right in the beginning of the month, we will have registrations open so that startups from our global partners can enroll for virtual mentoring and so on. I have a question for Ayanda. Ayanda, it's something I was thinking about. Here in Brazil, we have lots of, for example, at Unicamp, our alumni companies, when they start a company, they generally stay or in Campinas or in the São Paulo state. So we understand that the most we provide opportunities so that the students start a company, the more we contribute for the local and the region and the state economics, right? But we understand that some companies, they are born very international and they stay here and then they go abroad, but in soft landing processes and so on. Do the companies that are started, the startup companies in Unisa, they stay around, or they are all already by the beginning looking international and they leave? Do you have any data on that, if they contribute locally as well, or if they tend to leave?
Well, generally in South Africa, what you find is, you know, the companies perhaps feel a bit constrained, you know, with in the various, depending on where they are. Like for instance, you know, Gauteng may be a bit constraining, you know, and they tend to, if for instance they are dealing with a company that deals with that is a fintech or insurtech, they would ordinarily relocate, or even ICT. They would relocate to a province that has got more of those companies, you know, a much more vibrant ecosystem that favors, you know, their growth and development. So you'd see some would stay in Gauteng, but the majority of them will start migrating to for instance, you know, another part of the country, you know, where the ecosystem is actually quite more vibrant and much more supporting. But that's in itself is not a challenge, because it's still one country. You know, they're still within the same country. You know, it becomes a challenge though when, as I've had, you know, two instances. One was a company from one of the universities in the Western Cape, and another one from the neighboring university, that they then decided that, you know, perhaps their opportunities lay elsewhere, and even though they were still registered in South Africa, but they upped and left. One registered in Silicon Valley in California, and the other one registered in Poland, right? So, you know, and I think there must be other mechanisms that we put in place, not necessarily at institutional level, but at other provincial level, you know, that actually are much more supportive, you know, of retaining, you know, some of these companies. You know, you've got quite a number of initiatives, startup, you know, I don't know whether it was Startup Sao Paulo, you know, or kind of initiatives. These startup initiatives that actually attract, you know, companies to come in and provide, you know, kind of, you know, various incentives to actually retain companies. And generally, what we find is that companies will always, you know, opt for, you know, would opt to maximize, you know, their benefit and interest. You know, if it's something that, you know, if there's better opportunities elsewhere, they would definitely do that. Yeah, and until such time that the environment is actually quite conducive. So it's very mixed. In general, in South Africa, it's very mixed. The smaller companies that are coming out of universities, they will stay, right? Not necessarily because, you know, there are no other opportunities elsewhere, but they will stay because they are still needing something where they are, right, in terms of the support. But once they see other opportunities elsewhere, in the absence of any incentives in the local, you know, sort of environment, they will definitely move there.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'd like to propose that we do the picture with everyone before we finish the webinar and before we go with Professor Newton. Would you like? Yeah, okay.
I just want to ask two questions. There's two questions that I wanted to ask, you know, but okay, I was trying to type, you know, in the Q&A, I couldn't. You know, I just wanted to check, you know, with the junior companies, right? You know, what type of work gets given to junior companies?
What kind of work?
And the second question is what really motivates any company to want to work with a junior company as opposed to an established company out there?
I don't understand what is WAC. What kind of WAC?
Work.
Yeah, you see,
work.
I'm just
Hey, look.
All of the accents in only one webinar.
Yeah.
I think we really have junior companies that are really competent, and they can really come up with very innovative solutions. And they usually partner with a professor in a lab. always there's going to be a professor that is responsible for the particular junior company. So it's a way of working with the university, with the help of students that are, the students from Unicamp usually are the best. So it's a good way of doing a collaboration this way. So the work can be really development, or it can be just a consultants. So that's why I was telling you, the reason cannot be just because like it's cheaper, let's say. I'm just being very open. It has to be because it's the best and is well protected. And that's the type of things we have here. So they can do very nice work and helping companies really developing. Obviously, they may also contact startups and other companies, but it's one way of collaborating with the university with a direct contact with the students that are already more prepared as a company and not contacting students that are just doing their classes. They already have a mind more towards product development or consulting or service providing.
Okay.
I don't know if it's
yeah, no, it definitely is. So basically, what would motivate a company, to contract a junior company, right? It's really because of the expertise and the specific skill that junior company has. Rather. Okay.
Yeah. The problem with the company usually they change from time to time. So sometimes a junior company is very strong, and then because they change people, because they graduate or everything, they actually they have phases. So it's a challenge to keep them active and have the companies always ready for providing this type of quality.
Yeah, also because they are undergrad students, so they are there for 4 years, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 1 year. You see, so it's a very short term, and then they change the whole management of the junior company. But also, companies, some companies would like to hire them, some because they have been part of the junior companies, and others because they, for example, they know that he's a junior company of Unicamp. So Unicamp has an important name. So I guess that also plays a large role, huh? I like being part of Unicamp. Surely does. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd like to give just to note that today we'll be back at 3 p.m., right, with the cases of Professor Eric Sander from Florida and Professor Fernando, who just joined us right now, right? So both of them will be speaking today in the afternoon. Don't miss that. We'll get back to certain points that we started discussing this. This is the first time we did in this way, because generally we have the global partners in a room and we discuss to each other, right? So this time we decided to have an open conversation. We sure will have to adapt certain things for the next time, but it's a great pleasure having Professor Ayanda, Professor Eric, and Professor Fernando also with us. So let's make the picture, Katja, so that I don't forget this, and then later on you kill me for forgetting it, Hi, Fernando. How are you? Hello.
Sorry to be late. I was
don't worry. It was a good conversation.
Peru to South Africa, we have, I think, 7 hours difference.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is this okay?
Professor Eric. One more.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. All right. Thank you very much for everyone who participated. Right. We'll finish up now. We'll be back in the afternoon. And well, we'll see you soon. Good lunchtime for everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vanessa, just a quick one.
Sorry?
Vanessa, are you still there? Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Do I use the same link to access the later session?
Yeah, if you use the same link, we will be with us, and then you can come for the conversation later on. So I guess it's okay.
Okay, no, that's fine. I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
one. Thanks for the
Bye-bye.
invitation. Much appreciated.